Alright guys, so today I had a dream. So at one point I was in this house that is a few houses down from my childhood house. I forget what happened there, but I was in there and I think I saw the neighbor that actually lived there inside there. It was a blue house. But yeah, and then at some other point, I think in like a different dream scene, I was in the elementary school that I grew up in, and so yeah, I was in one of the classrooms, and then I went out to by where, like towards the gym, towards the PE room, and there were like these tables and people were sitting down. Oh, actually they were lunch tables. So yeah, they were the same lunch tables they had in that school. So in the area, people were eating lunch. That's actually the area where, like, if we had a snow, like we had to do recess indoors, then they would set up a movie on those like cart things. But yeah, so people were eating lunch over there. Or maybe they weren't eating lunch, they were just sitting down. Maybe they were working or something. Okay, and then another point, like a whole nother dream scene before that, I was in Chicago, and I was just on the bridge that's actually on Wells Street, that crosses Wells Street over the river, the one that crosses Orleans Street, doesn't matter, but so I was just looking at like the river and stuff, and I was looking at the river walk, and I saw someone walking along the river walk. And there was a car. So there was a car parked on the Riverwalk on the Chicago River, which was weird. So I was looking on there, and I was just kind of thinking like, oh man, I do kind of miss Chicago, But in the dream, I was like visiting, and it wasn't weird that I was visiting. But yeah, so in the dream, I was visiting that, and okay, and then earlier, I think in that same dream, I was in the old office that I used to work in, and the office was shutting down, which the office did actually shut down, but like the office was shutting down, and so I had to like walk back to my apartment through this alleyway I used to always walk in, and then I got some like rusty water on me, because in the city there's always this like nasty water thing everywhere, So yeah, I remember I splashed some rusty water on myself by accident. That was gross. I also saw in the dream in the office that I used to work at, there were these illegal immigrants behind in the hotel in the inner Chicago. And I saw one of them that I was actually like somewhat cool with, unfortunately, but like, I saw one of them that I was cool with. And it was the same vibes. You know how like if you're walking past a homeless guy, you don't want to, you don't want to actually say hi a lot of the time. Like same vibes with that. I didn't want to actually see the guy, but I was like, okay, whatever, now I gotta say hi to him. But yeah, so now I was walking through the alleyway back to my apartment. And then when I got to my apartment, something happened. Like there was some sort of event that happened, I think. And then also before I actually left the office, go back to my apartment, I think I had maybe I scootered back to the office from my apartment, because I live pretty close. So maybe I took my Razor scooter back from my apartment to the office to grab something before I left and then went through the alleyway, but I'm not sure. And yeah, there was like some sort of mission involved. It wasn't like a super serious one, but it was just like, oh, I gotta get my stuff out the office, or I gotta do this, so it was like another mission kind of one. And then yeah, when I got back to my apartment, again, I think there was some sort of mission or something that happened. And then, and then later on when I was on that bridge on Orleans Street, just looking over the river, thinking, oh, I miss Chicago, and there's the car on the river walk. The river actually started to flood, or I don't know if it started to flood, but just all of a sudden the water level got super high. It wasn't like a scary thing. It was more just like, actually it felt exactly like jumping in like a really deep pool. But anyway, what happened is like the river started to flood, so the river flooded all the way up to the street level, And then I was there with, I think, one of my brothers and my parents, and I think no friends, but just my brothers and my parents. And, you know, they were like, we were jumping in the river. Oh, actually, no, as the river started to flood and got high, you know, so our bodies would float higher and higher as we were like treading water until the river flooded all the way up to the street level. So we had to wait in the river until it got to the street level so we could climb out, you know. But then after we climbed out, we were jumping in just like it was a pool. And the overall vibe was just like, okay, this is just like a really deep pool, so just be careful. Or like a really deep, like when you're swimming in the ocean, it's really deep. So that was the vibe or the energy with that when the river kind of flooded. Wow, and then, okay, yeah, so the river flooded. We were walking along the river walk, walking along Wacker Street, which is right by the river in Chicago. So we were walking along Wacker Street. And then, you know, that kind of melded into another scene where I was in a house with my cousins, and we were eating dinner, or we were eating food or something, and then I went to the basement so I could play with them. Yeah, and then I forget, man, so something happened with that. Again, it wasn't serious, but just like another event happened. It wasn't bad, but another like event happened in the house with my cousins. I would think I was getting hungry, because I am actually hungry right now. Whenever I wake up hungry in the morning, I usually have a dream about like eating food. But so yeah, I was eating a little bit of food, you know, eating dinner like I said. Something happened with the cousins. And then I think I left that house, and that house, after I left, that then melted in or turned into a version of like the home I grew up in. But then the home I grew up in, it was a little bit different, but it was actually a dream scene I recognized. I'll write that down. It was like the house I grew up in, except it was a little bit different physically. Like there was like a deck that was built out that we never had a deck built out. So there was like a wooden deck, and then I ran to the backyard for something and then ran back up the deck. And when I went back up the deck, I remember thinking like, oh, we don't have this in our yard. This is kind of weird, but it still didn't register me that I was in a dream. But I was like, this is weird. We don't have this deck in our yard. So I went to the backyard, went back up the stairs to the deck, and went back in the house for something. Oh, you know what? Actually, okay, that deck would have been a mix of my childhood house, and then the deck was probably a mix of my ba's house, which is my grandma's old house. So that's probably why I saw the deck, because below the deck, there was like this chicken wire that was like in the deck, and that's exactly what my grandma had, my ba had. But anyway, okay, yeah, so I to my childhood Wheaton house backyard, went back up the deck that was a mix of my house and my ba's house. And then, yeah, something else happened, I did forget. Again, I don't think it was super serious or like super bad, but another like event happened, another mission sort of thing happened. So something, and then right before I woke up, I had a dream that I was eating this rootly, which is just like this bread thing my body used to make. And then I was eating a protein shake I made, and my brother didn't want the protein shake, so I was drinking his portion of the protein smoothie. And then I think right after I was eating the rootly and protein smoothie, I woke up. But yeah, that's my dreams. That was my dreams for last night. Today is like February 16th, I think, so thanks for checking it out.